Hey guys, what's going on? Game Jake here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! 6. I just recorded this video and the file got corrupted, so I have to record it again. But, yay. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! 6. This was revealed 2:30-ish, 1:45-ish, around that time last night. And I stayed up watching a movie, so of course, when I got on my phone, I was like, alright, I'm going to bed, just let me look at my phone one last time, and I saw this, I freaked out, I immediately wanted to do a video, but I didn't, because I finished my movie, and then I went to bed. So, and by that time it was like, almost 4, so, I haven't even gotten 7 hours of sleep. Yay! But, so, we're going to be looking at this. We're going to be reading what they gave us, and then I'm going to be talking about it. So, the 6th Yu-Gi-Oh! Series will air in April 2017, featuring Chinese word whose name should be read as Fujiki Yusaku, or Yusaku for those using the more normal naming conventions. He's a student in high school. Duels this time around will be held on skateboard SQ devices using a virtual reality style system. Skateboard SQ, that's basically the equivalent of hoverboards, but I guess more hovery and digital. So, the show's theme is Chinese words. Take a step forward and try, on the premise of kids trying out things instead of giving up at the first try due to being overwhelmed by information. Alright, what kind of information are we wanting to throw kids at? Yusaku is a boy who doesn't like standing out, and particularly doesn't stand out at school. However, he gets drawn into encounters with people as he tries out dueling for once. Alright, so that's everything we've gotten. It was from the Jump Festa stream last night and everything, so we're going to be going over this, what I think about the character, the design, the theme, and the concept of the type of duels we're going to be getting. So first off, let's start with the character himself. The hair looks like shark mixed with kite. It looks like kite because of how spiky and upwards it looks, and then it's kite for the color scheme. So the face honestly reminds me of that one Zexal guy with the pink hair who used the Chronomaly cards. That's honestly what he reminds me of. But of course, I mean, when people saw Yuya, a lot of people thought Jaden, but with a less muscular body, I guess, or a younger Jaden that looked like a clown. So, I mean, I'm sure people obviously are trying to be like, well, this guy looks like this to me, and this guy looks like this to me. But after you watch the show, I mean, for instance, after I saw Arc V, I completely saw Yuya as a different person. I don't see him as somebody who looks like Jaden, or I don't see him as just another Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist. And I know that's going to be the case with this, because I just know this character is going to grow on me, whether I like him or hate him. But with the theme and everything that's going on, he seems, or I seem to really, enjoy. What am I saying? With the theme that's going on, that interests me, and I don't think I'm going to be disappointed just because of the character's design. So, moving on to the concept of dueling here, we got card games on hoverboards. So this is interesting. It's very much like 5Ds in my opinion. And I do want to get into a theory of that has been going around and that I've seen in comments of YouTube videos and such regarding this topic. So, card games on hoverboards, equivalently really the same thing as 5Ds, but more digital. So imagine the field spells that Yuya and them used in Arc V, and now imagine a duel runner during those duels. So, very similar to what was going on in the 5D Synchro Dimension arc for Arc V, or Arc 5, whichever you want to call it. But I can say this, I really like the design of the duel disc. They're not spiky, they're not, one thing is they're not physical, and that was one thing I missed with sort of Zexal, because Zexal had Zexal had physical, like physical discs, but I was confused as to where spells and traps went, and monster cards and everything. But with 5Ds used duel discs that looked almost identical to duel monsters. So with this, it seems like we've completely thrown physical out the window. This is the only physical part, similar to Arc 5 or Arc V, and it just pops out something digital that I guess has mass because you can place cards on it, and we can see a little card right here, or maybe it's right here, but we can see stuff on here. And so, I mean, like, when it came to Arc V, it's the way on how the dual disc looked, it was just like, it was black with a colored outline, and then some were spiky, some had the imitation of a sword, some were a bit round, etc. Reason being is, you know, different dimensions, different developers, etc. So with these, you know, this looks more like pop-out book 3D with the digital aura or whatever that came out of the dual disc. Similar, I want to say, to the whole Kaiba theme with the new movie, Dark Side of Dimensions. His dual disc seems to be something similar like this, and that's another thing I like. But I enjoyed the concept. It looks fun to me. I'm guessing that this thing and this thing are dueling monsters, so I would honestly be shocked if we don't see these two cards used in the anime. Maybe they're just, you know, maybe they could be, I don't know, the next Karibos, but point being, you know, I like the concept, I like what I'm seeing here and everything else. So I do want to talk about a theory, though, the theory that has been going around YouTube, and that's there's a formula with their anime developing, or with their anime development rather. So I'm gonna explain everything that's going on within Duel Monsters all the way to Arc 5, and then I'll throw Yu-Gi-Oh! 6 into the concept as well. So with Duel Monsters, we had a kid who ended up getting a dueling ghost guide, if you want to simplify it like that. And then there was a whole situation in a past life aura or era that ended up being resolved later on in the season's finale. So that's Duel Monsters. Let me take you to Zexal, which is almost identical to the same thing. We got a dueling. This kid gets a dueling guide ghost who helps him out duel and stuff. And then later, this is like later in the season. I think it's season 2 or whatever, because I know Zexal didn't get that many seasons. But let's see, Zexal. Oh yeah, there was a whole situation with a whole past life era with Shark and Vector and some of the other characters too. So yeah, they're different when it comes to anime or style, and they're different when it comes to summoning methods. But when you simplify it like that, they're pretty identical. So let's take Duel Monsters and Zexal and put them both together in their own little corner. Now let's take GX and Arc 5. So we have GX, which features Judai, which is a kid who attends the school. Unknown if it's a high school or if it's a middle school, at least I don't know that. But I want to say it's like a mix of both. Maybe a high school, but since there's dorms and stuff, or possibly a college, but I don't think a 15-year-old, because I believe that was Judai's age at the beginning of GX. So I don't think they throw a 15-year-old kid into college or high school, because we know Jaden is not smart enough to be in those in those classes unless strictly for Duel Monsters. So we have Jaden, who attends some type of a school, and then he takes fusion summoning. He makes his own branch of it with contact fusion, and then he doesn't only go from there, but he goes further into it, and he makes different types of contact fusioning. He in the manga he made mask fusion, or mask change, which is in the meta now with Dark Law, Anki, and stuff like that. And then just when it came to the fusion monsters effects, like Absolute Zero, I know he didn't use that monster, but that monster is a very good elemental hero fusion, possibly one of the best, because just when it leaves the field, not destroyed, just when it leaves the field, it destroys all cards I think your opponent controls, or maybe all monsters your opponent controls. So it's a very good card, nonetheless, and so that's what Jaden's aspect is. So now we look at Arc 5. We have a kid who attended a somewhat dueling school, or his father founded a dueling school, etc. That didn't last long, in all honesty. That maybe lasted 20 episodes into it, 20, 30, maybe not even that. And then, that whole thing was scrapped, and then we got a whole dimension deal and such. But we have Yuya, who invented pendulum summoning, similar to how Jaden invented contact. And then Yuya not only invented it, but he took it further into creating hybrids and then new effects that have to do with pendulum summoning and things like that. So that's how Arc 5 or Arc V and GX are related, at least in my opinion. So we're going to put those off to the side, away from Duel Monsters and Zexal. So that only leaves us with 5Ds and Yu-Gi-Oh! 6. You guys see what I'm going with here? With 5Ds, we have card games on motorcycles, and we have a mature 16, 17-year-old character. With Yu-Gi-Oh! 6, people are saying this guy's 16. Did it say he was 16? Or I think it just said he was in high school. He's in high school, so he's at least 16 years old, 16, 15 years old. So that's good that we have a little bit more mature character. He looks like he's about to, I don't know, play a card. I like how when it came to the card images, they're sticking with Zexals, because that also seems to be a thing, because Zexal is the equivalent of Duel Monsters, and Duel Monsters was the beginning. So we have Zexal, which is rebooting the beginning, and it only makes sense to redo the card images. But he looks like he's very serious into his dueling, and etc. So with 5Ds, we have card games on motorcycles. With Yu-Gi-Oh! 6, we have card games on hoverboards, and a serious, mature, or maybe not serious, but a mature duelist. Because Yusei also had fun too. So I'm looking forward to what's going on here. I'm not sure if I said this a minute ago when I was reading this, but this sentence right here, if I didn't mention it, and I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm just gonna say it again. I don't want him to be thrown into this whole dueling mix, and then him being instantly good. I don't want him to be. Because it says why he tries out dueling for once. I don't want him to just duel his 3,000 attack point rival and then completely destroy him and be like, oh, I won. You lost to a kid who's never played before. You suck. So, I mean, I don't want that to be the case. And then going off from that, I do want to talk about the rival. I want the rival to be at least I want there to be a friendly rivalry, but I want it to be friendly in the sense of, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't really. Like, when it came to Duel, I'm gonna look at all the past different rivalries to try and compare. So with Duel Monsters, we have Kaiba. Kaiba was a very strong opponent, and every time Kaiba got out a card, we thought Yugi was going to lose. But in all honesty, we knew Yugi wasn't, because we know that Kaiba's a butt, and he's just never going to win against the forces of kind people like Yugi. So, I mean, that was the whole deal with Duel Monsters, was that they're pushing that. Don't be scared of jerks, I guess. But, and that's good and all, but and Yugi, I don't think ever really lost to Kaiba. I mean, when you look at the Pyramid of Light, that wasn't necessarily Kaiba. It was very clever of Kaiba to use a card that can contain all 3 Egyptian god cards, but what if he didn't get out all 3 Egyptian god cards? I mean, like, your playing would have been completely screwed. I mean, well, what if he had OTK'd you with Dark Magician or something? So, I mean, we know he's got that Eternal Soul card. So, but anyway, going back on, and I mean, like, we saw one time where Yugi ended up having to forfeit the match because Kaiba was threatening to kill himself if he didn't win for the sake of his little brother and such. But I mean, like, I want a character who we feel, I don't know, I want him to be somebody who we look at and it's like, oh man, this guy's serious, he really wants to mess up the main character and etc. But I don't want it to be to the sense of where, like, he's cocky and he's immature, because Kaiba was extremely immature if you ask me. I mean, like, when it came to his company, he was mature, but when it came to dueling, he was like, if I lose, I'm a crybaby. So, I mean, like, that's what I felt with Duel Monsters, especially with Kaiba. And then we look at GX. There isn't really a distinct rival with GX, and a lot of that can be said with Arc V, although I'm pretty sure Arc V's been cleared up, we know who the rival is. But with GX, at first we had Chaz, who had Arm Dragon level 10, which was a 3000 monster, and a lot of people associate Chaz as the rival. And honestly, that is the best fit because he has the 3000 monster, but when you look at it, he's level 10. So then we look at a few other characters. We look at Jesse, who is a rival of Jaden's, but they're also best friends. So although Jesse had a 4000 monster, but that thing was hard as crap to get out, and today it's not even really worth it because of the metagame and everything, plus 0 defense points. So, wait, did it really have 0? I think it had 0 defense points. But, I mean, I don't really want to count Jesse because he dueled Jaden a few times, but again, the few times he did, it was under Yubel's control. So, I don't know really where to put Jesse. I mean, moving on, we have Aster Phoenix or Edo Phoenix, who used Destiny Heroes, and in my opinion, Aster would have been the most perfect candidate for the rival if he had better cards. His deck was entirely trash with his low-level monsters, and then the one fusion monster that you need 2 specific mons to get out, but thank God for the new Destiny support with Defusion, Drill Guy, Dystopia Guy, Deadly Guy, and we're still looking for that Dusk Utopia guy from the anime, which is a complete awesome guy. So, see what I did there? But in my opinion, Aster would have been the perfect candidate for the rival of GX. But he doesn't have that monster, so he doesn't fit the formula, so we gotta throw him to the side. So that leaves us with Zane Truesdale, who had Cyber Dragon, who had Cyber End Dragon or whatever, and that thing was very powerful, and every time Jaden and Zane dueled, we were like, alright, this is really good, and especially that one time when they both used Battle Fusion, and I think Jaden ends up winning, or maybe Zane does, because he pulled out Honest at the last second. I can't remember, but it was such a good duel, and people were on the edge of their seats, and that was one of the moments where Zane wasn't a complete butthole. And then we got later on in the series where he's consumed by his own power with his new Cyber Dark cards, which in all honesty aren't even that good. I mean, I'm sure they did something back when GX was relevant, but when we got them XZs, it didn't really matter anymore. So I don't know. GX is hard to find for a rival. So moving on, now we have Arc 5, Arc V. So with Arc V, a lot of people thought at first the rival was going to be Sawatari, but when we saw Reggie duel Yuya within the first few episodes, we knew Reggie was the rival, but then we didn't see Reggie for a while. So later on, Yuya dueled Sawatari a lot, and he dueled him when he used Yuto dueled him with Monarchs, but Yuya dueled him when he was using his Dart cards, which, in all honesty, where did they go? Like, what? I thought he was going to use darts, but no. So he's had a Monarch deck, he had a Dart deck, and so then he had a Yozenju deck, which looked promising. He had a 3,000 attack point monster, but it was level 10, so he follows the Chaz principle. And then the cards were really annoying because you normal summon them to get them back into your hand. And for a while, when Yozenjus were first released in the OCG, TCG, they really did something. Like, they would mess up your opponents because, you know, when they were annoying, but then they left, you know, you stranded for a whole turn. But I mean, honestly, it didn't even matter because once you normal summon them, you could attack. And in the anime for game, because 16 plus 16 plus 15 is over 4,000. So I don't know. And then we had Abyss Actors, and then Sawatari follows the whole rival principle. He's got the level 8 Abyss Actor High Heal, I think its name is, with 3,000 attack points, but we already know he's not the rival, so we could just sort of push him off to the side, and now we have Reggie, or Duklin Akaba, whichever you want to call him. I've been watching the subs, so I like Reggie the best. So we have Reggie, who has DDD Armageddon King. So, I mean, like, that's a rival, and that's what I love in a Cedra. Did I even talk about 5Ds? I think no. How did I get into Arc 5? But oh yeah, I was talking about GX. And then for 5Ds, we had Jack, who perfectly met the principle of a rival because 3,000 attack point monster. For the first arc of the entire show, they were at each other's neck, and then they were best friends, but they still dueled. And every time Jack dueled, you rooted for Jack in a Cedra. So I want something similar to that, but not identical, because then we would just be extraordinarily following the whole course of 5Ds. And then for Zexal, we had Shark, which a lot of people thought was going to be rival, and here's why. Because the very first duel, Yuma duels Shark. Shark has a 2,000 attack point monster that has the potential of getting to 3,000. So that's immediately what I thought. I thought Leviathan Dragon was his ace monster. Nope. We get an entirely different deck, still based around water and sea serpent cards, however, and sharks and whatnot. But you know, he gets an entirely different Xyz deck with his extra deck and such, which I honestly am proud for. I like that. I like that concept and whatnot. But his monster was 2,800. He was the perfect rival because he stuck around the longest, and he never really befriended Yuma. But I mean, like, he did for a while. I know he did for at least an arc or two. But at the beginning of the series, they were rivals. At the end of the season, Shark isn't even Shark. So within that middle there, they dueled, I think, a few times. And if they didn't, then it was still weird. Because when you saw Shark, you were like, oh, it's that guy that, you know, that lost to Yuma, but certainly has the power to take him out, and etc. So Shark was a mystery. And then we had Kite, and Kite's deck was purposely made to counteract Yuma's. I mean, like, it was Xyz can't do squat to me. Xyz can't do nut. And so, I mean, every time that Yuma dueled Kite, there was tension. It was like, oh, who's gonna win? And it wasn't like Duel Monsters to where you know who's gonna win because good conquers all. But it was just like, because as far as we knew, Kite was good. We didn't think Kite was a jerk. So, I don't know. That's my opinion on the rival. I want something, when you look at Reggie let me take Reggie and Kaiba. Let me take Reggie and Kaiba. We have Kaiba, who was a cocky kid, who had the potential, who had a very strong deck, but always lost. And then when he did lose, he was a crybaby. And then we have Reggie, who's humble, and he always wins. I don't think he has a losing record to this day. But so, I want something in between. I want something who's not necessarily as humble as Reggie, but not nearly as cocky as Kaiba. I want something to where, like, he's just as laid back. He's laid back, maybe hot-headed, maybe something like Joey, because Joey and Yugi were perfect. You know, if Joey just had the monster, and if they were to duel multiple times. I mean, like, I want to see our protagonist Yusaku here, and maybe his rival, maybe do tag duels. I mean, like, that would be amazing. I would love to see stuff like that. So that's just my personal intake on the rival, and that's only the rival, and we are 20 minutes in, and I'm only talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's what I think about Yu-Gi-Oh! 6. I think there's a formula. I think it's going to follow a little bit of 5Ds. When it comes to the rival, I hope it's what I described, to where it's similar to Joey, but more fierce, I guess, because Joey's deck was completely luck-based and stuff, and I know they're not going to do that with this character, or with this character's rival, because then we would have an ongoing theme that's just too similar and stuff like that. But yeah, in my opinion, that's what I think about Yu-Gi-Oh! And so moving on, I have a few more things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Kingdom Hearts, I want to talk about Pokemon, and Final Fantasy. I'm going to start with Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy because those are the shortest things to talk about. And for Pokemon, I should have done it Thursday, but I explained at the beginning of the video what my whole deal was with that. So starting with Kingdom Hearts, we have Kingdom Hearts 2.8 coming out very soon in January. I do want to talk about my hopes for the game and it leading into Kingdom Hearts 3. So I used to own a YouTube channel, for those of you that didn't know, which I did heavy Kingdom Hearts content. Like, every week there's a new Kingdom Hearts theory. The reason why I'm not doing that on this channel is because those took a lot out of me, and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiles, they're just so much easier, and I do want to do Kingdom Hearts content, because I only do these really when information pops up. Like, I don't dive into it, and I feel upset about that because I'm not living up to the expectation I used to when it came to this franchise. So, with Kingdom Hearts 2.8, comes out in January, I can proudly say I am going to be getting this game. I am only going to be playing 2.8 because I really don't care about Dream Drop Distance Remastered. I don't care for the new Dream Eaters. Unless there's a new secret boss, then I won't play it. 2.8 interests me the most, and I will definitely watch Kingdom Hearts Key. And I'm sure maybe past that point I'll do discussions and stuff, and this channel will evolve more when it comes into the Kingdom Hearts side of things. But yeah, with Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm extraordinarily pumped for it. I just feel like I'm pushing them off under the rug as if I've said them once or twice and I just don't care for them. But that is not the case at all. I always keep my eye on these projects. I love them to death, but I don't know why I just can't bring myself to do more. But yeah, so that's Kingdom Hearts 2.8. I did want to say one more thing about it. I forgot what that was, so I apologize. But now moving on to Final Fantasy. I recently got my hands on Final Fantasy 15 a few weeks ago. I ordered it at Redbox, and I played it for about 2 to 3 days. I got to chapter 9 or 10. I'm pretty sure it was 10, and I absolutely loved it. I loved Final Fantasy 15, and that's something for me that's huge, because when it comes to Final Fantasy, only a few of the game's franchises get me hooked. Especially, I've never been hooked to Final Fantasy on that kind of a level. 7 sort of did it to me. I enjoyed 7. I played 7. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. But it just, I don't know. I want to say maybe because it was an older game, and I've had so much experience with HD quality games that it didn't necessarily bore me, but it didn't look as good as it could have been. But I know we're getting a a remastered, remade version later on next year, and I'm so pumped for that I'm pretty sure it's going to hook me just as much as Final Fantasy, if not more. So, with that being said, Final Fantasy 15, I'm again super pumped for when I get my hands on my own copy, most likely for Christmas, which I may have to actually purchase myself. And I know that's sad, but I absolutely love this branch of the franchise. I may do Final Fantasy stuff on in the future, but Final Fantasy, the thing is the games don't correspond with each other. Similar to Kingdom Hearts, similar to Pokemon, etc. They don't correspond with each other. Each one has a different timeline, each one has a different world, universe, etc. And a lot of people speculate that 15 takes place in 7's universe, and if that's the case, then 7 takes place in 10's universe, or something like that. There's small, minor connections within Final Fantasy that you can relate to, but none of it's canon, in my opinion. There isn't a canon timeline that goes from game to game to game. Each one is their own story told, and that's it, in my opinion. Now, some of the games have been lucky enough to have spin-offs, such as Final Fantasy 13, but I've been told the spin-offs are trash, 13-2 with 13 Returns or something like that. Final Fantasy 7 had Crisis Core, and then they had their own movie, Advent Children, and then they had something else too. I can't remember what that was. But, I mean, like, and then Final Fantasy X had 10-2, and there's other spin-offs too, for instance, mobile games, and etc., that go more into characters and stuff, but I don't think the mobile games make it canon to where they're all on one timeline. But regardless, I love Final Fantasy 15. I love how much I got to play it, and then I'm sure when Final Fantasy 7 comes out for the remastered PS4 version, I'm going to love that just as much. So I just wanted to talk about Final Fantasy 15 or just Final Fantasy in general in that aspect. So if you guys have wondered why I've covered them before and then just stopped, that's why, in my opinion, because I don't know. Final Fantasy hasn't really hooked me up until now, but even with now, I won't get the game for another week or so, or a week and a half maybe. And with that said, people have already covered Final Fantasy 15, so I guess I'm just going to play it behind the scenes, because a Let's Play on the PS4 is still confusing in my opinion. But that car just passed him, poor guy. I'm watching the Reclaim Your Throne trailer. But, yeah, so that's Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts. Like I said, those were going to be very, very short. So now going on into Pokemon. Alright guys, so here's the thing with Pokemon. A lot has happened within the past 2 weeks, not only when it comes to the actual games and the competitive side, but as well as Pokemon Go. So Pokemon Go has gotten a new update, and for those of you that don't know, if you still even have the game, Pokemon Go has an update with Gen 2 monsters, with Gen 2 Pokemon. Not all of them, however, just baby Pokemon. For instance, Elekid, Magby, Cleffa, Pichu, and Togepi, and I think there's maybe one or two more, maybe Smoochum, and that's it. But all we have so far is just baby Pokemon. We don't have evolutions, for instance, Umbreon and Espeon. We don't have a whole lot of that going on, which in my opinion is upsetting. They may update it later on within the next few months. They can't wait. They can't make us wait so long, or else we'll just get bored of baby Pokemon because we'll have them already. But I'm honestly shocked that with the new update we didn't get Johto starters. But that's the thing with Pokemon Go. There's also a Christmas event. If you guys are watching this before Christmas, go out and catch yourselves an exclusive event Christmas Pikachu that is wearing a Santa Claus hat. So that's Pokemon Go. A lot of people are upset because it's just baby Pokemon. I myself am a little bit disappointed. I'm homeschooled, so I'm at home all the time, and especially now because it's our winter break, I'm really not going anywhere except to see family. But that's in West Virginia, and for those of you that have never been to West Virginia is a very small state. There's not a whole lot in it. There's not really something that puts it on the map. So I'm sure that they're maybe on like towards the north, but I'm not in the north of West Virginia. I'm in the west part of West Virginia because West Virginia, nah. But so I honestly don't have I have a few Pokestops near where I'm going to go in West Virginia for a while for Christmas. So I do have Pokestops in my availability, but I don't have like Charizards or Dragonites or stuff like that. It's just the regular crap. Maybe a Tangela every once in a while, but other than that, it's not really a. It's Pokemon Go. It seems to be a dying game, which it's sad to say, but it's inevitable in my opinion. They're running the game on for hardcore fans, and I honestly just have the game. Like whenever I'm downtown, I'll pull it up and I'll play it. Like I still play it, but I mean, like again, I'm homeschooled, so it's not like it goes into my everyday daily routine. But that's Pokemon Go. I do want to talk about Sun and Moon and etc. So recently, there has been some more data mining. You'd think that people would get this covered the day it released, but no, it's taken them this long. Thanks, guys. I'm kidding. You guys do a great job data mining. I know what you're doing is wrong, but I love you for it. So, when it comes to data mining, people have been discovering walking animations for all 700 plus Pokemon. What does this mean? A lot of people think it's the return of the Soul Silver Heart Gold system where you would walk with your Pokemon. However, that obviously is not the case because in Sun and Moon, we're not able to walk with Pokemon. So what could this mean? Well, for those of you that don't know, there is a rumored Pokemon Switch, or NX, whichever you want to call it, rumored game coming out called Pokemon Stars, which is a spin-off between Sun and Moon. It is the third installment, similar to how Diamond and Pearl had Platinum. So that's the whole deal with Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I know it sounded like I read that off the script, but I don't script my videos, guys. It's all in thin air. But so a lot of people are speculating the return of the walking animation. I honestly hope to God that is the case because I absolutely loved the walking animation, and I do honestly want to see how walking with a Dialga will look in 3D, or maybe a Wailord. But that Alolan Exeggutor though taking up all your screen. But I mean, like I honestly am curious. I'm curious as to know how it's going to play out. Maybe it just, in all honesty, and this is going to disappoint me, but it may just be used for a feature similar to how we had in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. We had that one park in Hearthome City where you could walk up north, and then you could walk with only a particular type of Pokemon. Now, that obviously isn't the case because all 700 plus Pokemon have a walking animation, not just a select few, but nonetheless, I mean, like, I would be disappointed if there's only an area in the game where we have it. I mean, like, if we have the access to walking animations, and they're obviously not in battle because we've seen our Pokemon battle, they stand and they do attack animations, they don't sit there and walk in place, but, I mean, like, I'm very curious to see how this walking animation is going to play out in Pokemon Stars, if it's a thing. I mean, it may just be a cut feature that's never returning. I mean, it's happened before, especially in gaming stuff. Kingdom Hearts had Jungle Book, which never saw the light of day, but you can still data mine Jungle Book, and you can still play in it. But, that's the whole thing with Pokemon Sun and Moon. And then there was a mishap, and I don't really follow the whole tournament side. I don't do tournaments. Actually, I play tournaments. I just don't watch tournaments. So that's just me, though. I mean, like, I played football for 3 years a few years ago, and I don't watch football. I have a particular team I like, and if you guys have seen my room in the background of my videos, you'll know what team I like. And I apologize, my entire room is Green Bay Packers, and so if you're a Steelers fan, but sorry. Going on though, tournament-wise, we had somebody hack their 3DS system and only got caught afterwards. I don't know if he didn't win. It was the championship match, so he didn't win. So it's not like they took away his title. But yeah, he had a Porygon 2, which was in a Beast Ball. And in Pokemon Sun and Moon, you can get a Porygon and evolve it, but you get it in a Pokeball, which means even if you bred it, I mean, I don't even think Porygon can be bred. I don't think Porygon has a gender. So, I mean, even if it was breedable, I'm pretty sure only the females pass down their Pokeballs. So, unless you got, I mean, like, if you got a male Porygon, and then you had a Ditto and a Beast Ball, then you may have a Beast Ball Porygon, but again, I don't think Porygon can be bred. I honestly don't. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, yeah, Porygon doesn't have a gender, and it can't be bred. So, I'm pretty sure that's the same way with other Pokemon like Type, Null, and Silvally. Unfortunately, Spiritomb, actually no, Spiritomb has gender, but stuff like that. So yeah, he had a Beast Ball Porygon. If you guys want to go look that up, just Google search Beast Ball Porygon, and you'll have a bunch of results, especially from YouTubers or from other PokeTubers that talked about it. But yeah. So anyway, guys. Thank you all for watching. I know this was a very long video, especially for just a gaming day, but I don't generally do these overall gaming videos, and I'm glad I did today because I got to talk about and cover a lot of information that I would have had to chop up into different videos. So, you know, I'm glad that this is what I've set up Saturdays to be. So what do you guys think about Yu-Gi-Oh! 6? What do you guys think about Pokemon Generation 2, Pokemon Go update? Well, what do you guys think about Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy? Or maybe I'm the only one in this channel and community that actually cares about those games. But yeah, so I would love to hear your guys' opinions and stuff down in the comments below. I would love to, especially with the whole Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing, because I'm a huge fan of Arc 5 and I want to continue with Yu-Gi-Oh! 6. So I want to hear theories. I want to hear summoning mechanics. That's a huge thing too. I'm not going to go into that. That's going to be an actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. But again, thank you guys for watching. This is Gaming Jake logging out. Peace.